Let's bring on the music and now focus on the drums. I don't know if you remember the plugin Masterclass made by Musik Hack. This is a one solution mastering plugin that I used on one of my videos to master a song from A to Z. And it's a great plugin, but now Musik Hack just released their second and new plugin called Fuel. They actually presented Fuel at the last NAMM show, and it actually has the potential on replacing one of my favorite Waves plugins. So let's check it out. So from the Musik Hack website, look at this nice presentation. Love it. Okay, master plan at the bottom. Let's click on Learn More, see what we get. Now, Fuel is all about saturation, bass enhancement, dynamics like upward and downward compression, all inside the same plugin. And it actually works pretty well. And I'm not surprised because what they did with Masterplan was pretty awesome. So first, let's take a look at the plugin. Pretty straightforward, input level at the top left, top right is the output level. We have different options. Also, you can bypass the plugin from inside the plugin. You can click on Unity, which is gonna basically level match the input with the output. So when you bypass the plugin, everything is gonna be level matched, which is what I'm going to use for today's video. Live mode for live recording situations if you want to monitor through the plugin. This will decrease the amount of latency, but at the same time, it's going to make the compression a bit less transparent as a trade-off. So I keep this one off when mixing for sure. Oversample to, I think it goes to 192 kilohertz of oversampling if you want to. Now, first, I'm going to focus on this parameter, which is comp for compression. And this is the section of the plugin that potentially will replace one of my all-time favorite Waves plugin, which is a downward and upward compression plugin. Downward compression is simply a regular compression. It's going to tame down everything that exceeds the threshold point. And upward compression does it the other way around. Everything that is below the threshold point is going to be brought up. So this is good if you want to get more of the quieter part of the signal to be a bit louder, in the mix, which is great. So for like a dynamic vocals, for example, is going to work well with this type of approach, So bringing up the quieter part and down the peaks, So this is why I like MV2, used it on vocals, pianos, bass, you can work with this type of compressor on so many sources. And on Fuel, we also have this type of compression with comp and body. Okay, so the combination of both will give you downward compression by increasing the amount of comp with that comp knob, and body will take care of the upward compression side. So the more body you add, the more upward compression you'll add to the signal, which is pretty nice. So I have this vocal.
I loved you from the start, still we got those sweet summer nights, laying beside you underneath the stars.
Okay, it's pretty dynamic, so I'm gonna, use Fuel as the main compressor with a blend of compression, downward compression, and upward compression. So let's activate Fuel.
I loved you from the start, still we got those sweet summer nights, laying beside you underneath the stars, talking about the future, it's those wide open fields.
Let's bypass
I loved you from the start, still we got those sweet summer nights, laying beside you underneath the stars, talking about the future.
Okay, now I'm getting a more of an upfront vocal and also very transparent as far as the compression sound goes. Okay, let's compare it to MV2.
I loved you from the start, still we got those sweet summer nights, laying beside you underneath the stars, talking about the future, it's those wide open fields, running till we can't breathe, and then we'd store to soak up those sweet summer nights.
Now, I tried to level match both plugins the best I could, Honestly, they both sound pretty good. MV2 is a solid plugin. It does use a slower attack and release time than Fuel, if I'm not mistaken. But again, I'm not sure what's under the hood of MV2. What I know about Fuel is that it uses a 3.5:1 ratio, and the attack and release time are frequency dependent, and they are very fast also. Okay, so it gives me more of a kind of an upfront type of sound using Fuel. And also I feel like the tone is a bit fatter, you know, just like slightly fatter. So I kind of like that tone that I'm getting out of Fuel, but very transparent type of compression. Both are great plugins, okay? But I can do way more with Fuel. You know, we just looked at only one portion of what this plugin can do. I also have within the same section of the plugin OTT, which stands for over the top. Basically, OTT is multiband compression mode, which is going to add multiband compression, like downward and upward compression, to the signal. Okay, so it's not going to be like a full range compression like a regular compressor does, which is going to play around with the tone also by default, since these different bands of frequencies are not being compressed equally, okay? So that plays with the tone, which can be very, very cool. And I'm going to show that to you later in this video. But basically, this is what it does. Now, next we have the bass knob, which basically will use saturation and EQ to enhance bass frequencies. And I think it emphasizes at around 80 hertz or so to do its thing, and it sounds pretty good, so we'll look at that later on. Thick is also very nice. It's gonna add saturation overall and also get more width when it's inserted on a stereo channel. And the more you dial it in, the more it's going to emphasize on mid-range saturation. Now, right now, it's on my vocal channel, which is mono, so I'm not going to get more width out of it, but I will get more saturation and mid-range saturation the more I dial it in. So let's try it out.
I loved you from the start, still we got those sweet summer nights, laying beside you underneath the stars.
Like that.
Talking about the future, it's those wide open fields, running till we can't breathe, and then we'd store.
Then I can add also some crunch, a bit of kind of a distortion approach with crunch. Let's try this out.
I loved you from the start, still we got those sweet summer nights, laying beside you underneath the stars.
Of course, I'm not going to overdo it for this vocal performance. You know, it's an acoustic song, but a bit of saturation, you know, a bit of crunch can help the vocal to stand out even more. There's also soft clip for soft clipping that will also add a bit of saturation and a bit more character. Okay, let's try Fuel on drums. This is a session that is not fully mixed, okay? So everything is pretty dry. There's not even reverb on the drums. Now, Fuel is inserted on my drum bus, basically. And this is what I have without Fuel. And if I add Fuel, nice. Listen to how much liveness I get when I activate Fuel on the drums. Nice. Love it. So it feels like I have a bit more room going on. There's, I don't know, it just gives me a lot of liveness, and this is something I like about this plugin. So let me check what I did here. So there's some compression going on. I have a bit of soft clipping, some crunch to add a bit of saturation, and a bass, you know, to enhance the bass response, and a bit of thickness. And now the drum bus is, of course, a stereo bus. So Thick is going to add a bit more of that mid-range saturation while extending the stereo image a bit more. So I'm going to overdo it. Now you can hear the difference. Now, I'm very gentle when it comes to every type of stereo imaging. So I know that thick is kind of a blend of several things, but the way it adds the saturation on a stereo channel makes it sound wider, okay? Basically, so I'm always just a bit careful, especially when I have a fuel on a drum bus, because if I add a bit too much, I can lose the snap of the snare, okay? So I'm very careful with that. So in this case, it helps to bring a bit more of kind of a nice room and live vibe to the drum mix, which is great. Now, I'm using also the blend of dry and fully processed signal by blending the mix knob, which can go from fully dry to fully wet. So in this case, a blend of dry and wet can be a very good option. I'm just going to bring this one to fully wet for now, and let's add a bit more bass so you can hear what the bass enhancement sounds like. Very nice, I like it. I like how it creates that very nice saturation on bass frequencies. It adds way more fatness to the, especially on the kick drum, in this case. I'm gonna rebalance the whole thing with the dry and wet knob. Let's bring on the music and now focus on the drums. I don't know if you noticed, but when I bypassed fuel, the drums start to sound a bit more thin, and kind of contained. And now, with fuel, it kind of opens up the drum sound, makes it more live, more fat, way more energy going on, and I kind of like that. So that was fuel on a drum bus. Hey, I hope you've been enjoying the video so far. If so, subscribe to this channel, like and share this video. And also, if you're confused about compression, I'm gonna encourage you to download my free guide, The Fundamentals of Compression, so you can start working with compression at ease and understand what compression is all about. Again, it's 100% free. The link is down below. Okay, let's get back to the video. Okay, now I'm gonna try fuel on a vocal bus, which includes the lead vocal, the doubles, the back vocals, all delays and reverbs applied to all vocals in this session. Everything's gonna end up into this mix vocal bus, and the fuel is inserted on that channel. And let's have a listen to the mix without fuel on the vocals. Okay, cool. Now I added fuel halfway through, and you can feel right away that fuel just added a bit more energy, a bit more width also to the vocals, and also tweaked the tone a bit. It sounds just a bit brighter. I added this time for compression, I added the OTT, which again stands for over the top, which is a multi-band type of compressor, and also upward compressor. So it does both in multi-band mode, which is quite cool. So it will change the tone a bit depending on the source. So let's solo this channel and play around with this OTT knob. But you can have it all, but you'd have to risk the fall. At least you know you're where you're supposed to be. Spread your wings and fly. Cool. I like that. So that works pretty well for this vocal bus. I also have a bit of soft clipping, which again is going to add a bit more, character to the sound by adding a bit of saturation, by soft clipping the signal. Thick is very useful in this case to add a bit more width, and also that mid-range saturation that helped, the vocals in this case to sound a bit more fat, I guess, and that's pretty much what I have on this one, and it sounds pretty good. Also on this session, I tried Fuel on the bass mix bus and also on the drum mix bus. As you can see, I have like two different background colors. There's the classic red, which is a default one, and there's the dark charcoal one. So if you want to change that, there's a settings icon at the bottom right. You click on it, you can change the background color, which is cool. And you can also resize Fuel by just dragging the bottom right corner up or down, and that will resize Fuel. So that's always handy. Okay, so let's open the bass. Okay, what I'm going to do now, I'm going to play the mix, and I will bypass all three Fuel plugins that I have on those instrument buses, and we'll hear the difference between when it's on and when it's off. That sounds pretty good. It adds way more character, way more energy to the whole mix without doing a lot. So that is the way I can use it. I can also use it on an individual track like a kick drum, a snare, a bass, a piano, a synth also. So it works well on different sources. Now, you can also add Fuel on the mix bus and also in mastering. So let's check it out. Okay, so in a mastering session, or even on the mix bus, something I can do is to start with the default settings when I load Fuel. So it comes with a bit of bass, a bit of thick, and this is how it sounds like. Again, there's not a lot happening with the default settings, but it still does something very nice. It adds more width, energy, character, kind of like that. So let's play around with the loud knob, okay? Now, this is basically made to add loudness, okay? A bit like the loud knob on the Masterclass plugin. It does about the same thing. So it's a blend of clipping and limiting with a algorithm that sounds pretty transparent. So you can actually push it pretty loud. It's going to give you good results. So let's try it out. I'm going to make sure Unity is on so we can bypass and keep the same gain structure. And let's oversample also. Okay, so now something to note here is I have two LUFS short-term readings. There's one for the input signal and one for the output signal. And I'm going to focus on the output LUFS short-term level to adjust the loudness level. So let's try it out. Let's add a bit of compression first. Let's try OTT. Now, since I have Unity active, I can push the loudness louder and I still keep the same level, okay? And that's because Unity is on. Of course, I'm going to bypass Unity if I want to bounce this master, but just for the time being, since I'm going to compare the before and after, I'm going to keep this one on. Note that the LUFS values are still going to be as if Unity was off, okay? So you will get accurate LUFS short-term values, okay? could actually bring it pretty loud, you know, with only that one knob by keeping it as transparent as possible. So I got up to -6, -5.8 LUFS short term. And again, it sounded decent, to be honest. So I kind of like that. So this is what the loud knob will give you. Good for mastering purposes, mainly. So this is Fuel. I'm going to leave the link down below if you want to try it out, because there's a free trial, a demo you can download for a few days and test it out on your own. And this is something important to test a plugin, to try it out before you buy it, okay? So if you do try it out, let me know what you think in the comment section down below. And even if you don't try it, just let me know your thoughts. Until next time, take care and see you.